It's no secret that the way that we think about things, the perspective, the lens that we use really does shape our reality. It shapes our world. It shapes everything that we put our minds and our hearts to. You know, it shapes the way that we deal with our families. It shapes the way that we look at ourselves. It shapes the way that we try to find solutions in our life. It literally shapes everything. And I think one of the biggest struggles that I've had just in my life is confronting negative patterns and negative ways of thinking that I didn't know were there. And I think that's the key part is, you know, a lot of these things are so deep rooted in us that we don't even know that they exist because it's something that we've always done. It's a way that we've always thought, or maybe it's something that is familiar and comfortable to everybody that we know. In other words, everybody else thinks this way too. So let me ask you this question. How do we change those things? And before we ask that question really is maybe another question that would be better is, what are these things causing in our life? Like what price are we paying to operate and function with these kind of mentalities or mindsets that we don't know exist? Like what is being paid here? And I think that, you know, really, to be honest, like there's a big cost that's being paid. There's a big cost that's being paid probably in your business, in your life that you just can't see. And maybe, you know I've felt this way before. I'm like, man, I feel like there's kind of a software program running behind the scenes that I can't quite see, but I know that it's kind of pulling levers in my life. And I think that a lot of that can point back to a mentality or a mindset. And so I wanted to show you this scripture in Proverbs. There's actually a couple of them linked together. In Proverbs chapter 26, it says this: "Do you see a man who is wise in his own eyes? There's more hope for a fool than for him." This is a warning against being wise in your own eyes. Now, what does that mean, wise in your own eyes? Because I think like there's a certain level where we want to be confident in the wisdom that we know. We want to make sure that we affirm ourselves in truth, right? Like, what is he talking about? Is it this idea of just seeing yourself as being smart or, having wisdom? Like, is that such a bad thing? I think what he's saying here, and we're going to read a couple more scriptures that kind of break this down, is wise in your own eyes means that you are only looking to your own eyes for all your wisdom. In other words, you're only going to accept as wisdom what it is that you can see with your eyes. And I think that the scripture and just in life, like we just can know that is incredibly dangerous. Because why? Because you can't see it all. So if you're wise in your own eyes, in other words, wisdom only comes from what you see and what you know and what you process as truth, then there's going to be a lot of things that you can't see that you're going to miss. And I think that that's a big, big error that a lot of us can fall into. And a lot of times when we're wise in our own eyes, we make statements and we operate with this idea that, no, I know how it is. I know what that is. I know what to do. I know all this stuff. And once again, being wise in your own eyes. Let me go one step further. And that was in verse 12. We go down here to verse 15. And it says, "The sluggard buries his hand in the dish. It wears him out, bringing it back to his mouth." The sluggard buries his hand in a dish. He's always looking for more. He's always wanting to grab. He's always wanting to take. So much so that it wears him out, bringing it back to his mouth. Like he's tired of consuming. He consumes so much that he's just like overwhelmed. He's just tired of repetitively consuming. And once again, I think this goes back to this idea of being wise in your own eyes, that you're so wise in your own eyes, you're going to do whatever you think you should be doing, and you're going to wear yourself out doing that. You're going to wear yourself out doing the things that you think are the things. And you're going to wonder why you're not getting breakthrough. You're going to wonder why you're not experiencing any kind of freedom. You're going to wonder why it feels like you're getting buried more and deeper and deeper and deeper. And the reason why you're getting buried deeper is because you're being lazy in the sense that you're not accepting wisdom that is not your wisdom. And once again, that the scripture says that there's more hope for a fool. And then let's go the very next verse, verse 16. The sluggard is wiser in his own eyes than 7 men who can answer sensibly. Once again, doubling down on this idea of being wise in your own eyes. You know, the scripture is saying that being wise in your own eyes is equivalent to being lazy and equivalent to being worse than a fool. That's some pretty heavy, that's a pretty heavy rebuke right there. This idea of being wise in your own eyes is incredibly dangerous, especially when you start mixing in things like business, like marriage, like ministry. These are things that impact other people's lives. So it's not just you paying the cost of being a sluggard or being wise in your own eyes or being a fool. It's other people as well. And I think one of the biggest things, just to put this in a context of business, is that you got to understand this, that your business is an answer. Your business is a ministry. Your business is a vessel that God is going to use to show and demonstrate his glory, his gospel to the world. You are going to be a person of integrity who's going to represent as an ambassador the kingdom principles that you live by, that you operate by in your life, in your marriage, in your business, in your relationships. And that is going to be a demonstration from everything that you do. It's going to outpour. It's going to flow out of you. So when we look at this idea, being wise in your own eyes, we got to come back and we got to ask ourselves, man, in what areas am I being wise in my own eyes? In what areas do I think I know the solution, that I'm just not listening to anything else? Listen, if you want to cultivate a mind for success, then you're first going to have to realize that you don't know it all, that you don't see it all, that you don't have all the answers. We know what's interesting right there is that the sluggard is wiser in his own eyes than 7 men who can answer sensibly. In other words, 7 men who have the experience and the knowledge of whatever's being addressed. 7 people. In other words, think of a room of 7 people, and there you are. And they're all skilled and they all have knowledge and experience in this one area. And you might look at them and say, nope, you guys are wrong. Nope, you don't know what you're talking about. I know what this is. Listen, don't be like that. That's very, very dangerous. And I think that we could even challenge ourselves just in our lives, in just our day-to-day living, really, to ask ourselves, man, what areas, Lord, am I being wise in my own eyes? Am I not allowing myself to be open to wisdom, open to ideas, open to direction, open to leading? In what areas am I not being open to those things? And help me to have the courage. Because listen, it's gonna take a couple of things to do that. It's going to take courage, first of all. And the second thing is it's going to take work. That's why if you don't do it, you're lazy. Because it's going to take work. Nobody wants to be told certain things that they can't see or that they need to do or that they need to try. Nobody wants to be told that. It's much easier just to go I know what I need to do and I'm not doing it and I'll do it tomorrow, right? Versus somebody coming by and saying, hey, switch your whole game plan up. You need to start doing this. And you're like, whoa, that sounds like a whole bunch of work to me. I don't know if I'm ready to do that. Listen, get brave, get ready, get courageous. And then in addition to that, get ready to do some work. Get ready to get your hands dirty. Get ready to apply yourself. And then you will see the benefits of wisdom, which is wealth, which is blessing, which is God's presence in everything that you do.